Record and then I'll click it off. All right. Welcome to today's Somatic Nurse Coach Certification Special Workshop with Lora Solomon. I'll go ahead and let her just dive in. We're not going to make this an hour session because we know that your time is valuable and we want to get to the wisdom-filled information. So, Laura, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you, Emily. So nice to be here. And whoever's watching this now or in the future, thank you for being here. I had some fun putting this together. So I'm just going to dive in. So hopefully you'll stay till I'm going to go pretty quickly, but stay towards the end because I'm going to have some questions and challenges for you and hopefully some inspiration for you that I don't want you to miss out on. But you're going to feel, I promise you, you're going to feel more excited than ever about being a nurse after going through this. You will really get a better understanding of your role as a nurse in what's coming in healthcare and this transformation. And you'll have a better sense of what steps you can be taking to be part of that. And as you know, right, nurses are one of the most trusted professions, maybe the most trusted professions. And we are headed into a time of really big change that's happening. And people trust nurses because most of us have spent some time in a nurse when we've been in a really vulnerable time in our lives, most of the time, whether it's in the ER or, with our child or delivering a baby or, whatever it is, we're having that one-on-one experience. And then nurses have this unique role when they're kind of in the middle of they're interacting with the whole team in a very unique way. So we play a really important role there. And I'm trying to get my little cursor here. All right. There we go. Okay. So as the one question I want you to think about as we're getting started is what bugs you the most about the way the system is right now. So it doesn't take long after you get out of nursing school or college to get into nurse with your bright, shiny, face and ideals to be like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is the system the way it is? And you start to look around. And then at some point, you probably get mad and think, oh my God, I made a big mistake. I should have never gone into nursing. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. But nurses are very smart, very creative, and very compassionate. And those are three wonderful qualities that we can't have enough of. So just think about this and tuck it away for yourself. And I'm going to come back to this at the end. Like, what if you had a little magic wand? I gave you a magic wand and you were the powerful one that could change this thing. What would it be? Okay. So just think about that. Maybe write it down. And for me, when I first started nursing, it was charting. I hated charting. And back in the day, it was this, I don't know if this is still the way it is, but it's like, if you didn't chart it, you didn't do it. What? So you'd be busting your behind all day long, but forget to chart something. And of course, somebody would point that out and then it would be pretty demoralizing. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we're going through. Sorry, I keep losing my little cursor here. I got two screens. All right, so a little walk down memory lane. This is me, 1973 in fourth grade. I had a teacher. Her name was Mrs. Kuhn. And I remember this because everybody called her Mrs. Crazy Coon, right? She was crazy as a coon. But she said she was supposed to be teaching us long division. And she said, listen. So, and remember, these are the teachers that were in the schools in the 60s, right? So this is like that, the 60s kind of people. They were in there now, like in their 20s and 30s and in the 70s, and they're new teachers. She said, I am not going to teach you long division because by the time you are grown up, you are all going to be able to buy a calculator for less than $10 and nobody's going to do long division. And it was like, oh, oh my God, like what's happening? But guess who was right? Mrs. Cohn, right? So that is, just some example from my life of what happened with technology and nursing. And so this is me when I first started nursing school in 1989. Yes, this was actually what I had to wear. I had to wear a dress that came up to here, sleeves down to here. Notice that my dress is past my knees. My hair had to be up off my collar. If it wasn't, I was a pretty strict nurse. I was in a Catholic I was in an associate's degree diploma program, and that's what I was in. And we didn't even have digital watches. We had analog watches that we had to wind. Like this is what was going on, right? Almost all the doctors were men. I don't remember a single woman doctor when I was in my training. And there was one man, and no, there were two men in my nursing class, nursing school class, and one of them was a bit of a troublemaker and didn't make it. So when we graduated, there was one, right? So I know that that's changed a little bit, but not that much. Some like a CABG coronary artery bypass surgery was about 10 grand. Now I think it's over 100. So a lot changed, right? Statins were just coming on and Prozac was just coming out. So we thought statins were going to end heart disease and Prozac was going to end depression. Well, you all know how that went, right? Didn't work out that way. So here we are today, right? You probably have a smartphone handy, a phone nearby. Everything's becoming more digitalized. But what I want to talk about today is that it's predicted that in the next 5 to 10 years, the changes that are going to happen in healthcare are going to be more significant than what happened in the previous 100 years. So buckle up. It's coming and it's coming fast. And that's exciting. It's not a reason to be scared. So, a little bit about me. I grew up in a small New Jersey town. No one in my family had ever gone to college. My parents didn't even graduate from high school. And I graduated from high school and was working as a receptionist. Well, I had a big crush on my boss, and he happened to be a bodybuilder. So I said, I'm going to join a gym so he'll think I'm like cool. And so I did. Never really worked out with that guy, but I got a job in the gym working as a salesperson. And then I got to see when people were applying, they would make payments on their memberships. I got to see their salary. So I met this woman and she was a nurse. She was a traveling nurse and she was making, I think it was like $35,000 a year. And like, I just decided that day, I'm going to be a nurse. Like, I don't even know anything about it. So that's, I'd like to say it was some big, like long calling from childhood, but it wasn't. I was like, I want to make that much money and I want to travel. Like, that was it. That's what it was about. And so within a month, I was in nursing school and took me a long time. So I got married and then I had two kids. So it wasn't until last year that I actually became a traveling nurse. I'm a full-time nomad. I've been to Alaska, from Alaska to Mexico this year. And right now I'm sitting in Arizona. So these dreams do come true. Sometimes they take a little time to come true. And it didn't happen the way that I thought it was going to happen. And so that's why I want to share some other things about what's going on. So in case you haven't noticed, a lot's changing in healthcare, right? We have robots doing surgery. We have a lot of changes that are happening and it's going to keep happening. This is an image I got this is Moxie. She's a nurse in Michigan, part of the Michigan medical team. This is from 3 years ago now. So Moxie's resume, she doesn't need a day off. She doesn't need sick time. She doesn't complain. She doesn't, get on her phone and scroll on Instagram. She doesn't need a vacation. She needs to be plugged in for 2 hours a day, and then she's good to go for another 24 hours. So that's here. That's here now. And it's predicted that in the next 5 years, and we've seen this happening, but AI is going to be doing most of the gathering information, most of the diagnosing, creating treatment plans, sharing information, prescribing, monitoring, billing and insurance, charting and documentation, and coordination of care. So before you freak out and think, what the hell am I going to be doing? Right? This is actually really, really, really good news. Okay. It's really good news because the AI is going to be doing the things that we really don't like to do. And they're going to be doing it better and it's going to take it off of our plate. Right. So we've all had the patient that's come in, they've been Googling on WebMD and they've diagnosed themselves. So this has already been happening. This isn't new, but and it's affected a lot of other industries more than healthcare, but it's going to be affecting healthcare in a much bigger way. So the biggest challenges with AI are ethical things and the privacy. Okay. And what we've shown over history is that, for example, when Da Vinci was doing cadavers, that was very unethical, right? So he was doing it in the basement and hiding it so he wouldn't go to jail. And then eventually we got over that. When in vitro fertilization first came out, very unethical. Well, I mean, birth control is still pretty unethical in some circles. And then organ transplant, right? So we have a history of things seeming unethical. We're not going to do it, and then technology takes over and we kind of get over it, and now these things are considered to be real, like modern day miracles. And then privacy is an interesting one because um in reality there is no privacy. I mean, if you have a smartphone, if you have a computer, you really don't have privacy. You could shake somebody's hand and get some DNA off of their hand and know everything about them. So I think it's an idea that it's like a treasured ideal, but we don't really have it. So I think, in some ways we're going to be getting over that too. So what's going to happen is really this symbiosis with we get to take the best of our humanness, which we have amazing, beautiful human qualities, and we get to partner with AI to make things better. So I want to do a very quick kind of run through of how this is going to work. So, like I said, if you're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to be doing? Right? What's going to happen to my job? I'm going to borrow something from Peter Diamandis. He has the 6 Ds of how these technologies come in. And as you're listening to this, I want you to think about, go back to what it is, the thing that you want to change. Where do you want to be a leader? Where do you want to make a change? And think about how this relates. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to pause and take a breath. How am I doing, Emily? Doing good? Okay. All right. Um, so the 6 Ds, first things are digitized. Then there is a deceptive time where it seems like nothing's happening, but it's kind of happening behind the scenes. Then it comes in and it disrupts whatever field it's disrupting. Then it's demonetized, it's dematerialized, and it's democratized. So everybody benefits. So I'm going to go through this one by one quickly. So this is the roadmap for how this is going to happen. So this is an example of some things you have probably seen digitized in your lifetime. I certainly have. So of course, EMR, EHR, I mean, how many paper charts are there anymore? Everything's electronic. With COVID, people got very used to having, Zoom appointments, wearable health trackers, look in your purse right now or your wallet. How much cash do you have? Most of it's digitized, right? It's, if I have $20 in my wallet, that's a lot. Like usually I have less than that as long as I have my credit card. So that's digitization. We're using technology right now. Like this is something that has not really been available for that long. Certainly photographs, we've all seen that. I mean, when was the last time you had a camera? You bought film, you took your film to be developed, and you went and picked up your pictures. Maybe some of you you've never done that. I don't know. I remember those days. And then of course there's social media, fitness trackers. I was telling Emily before we got started, I'm in Scottsdale, and Phoenix has these Waymo robot cars. So I'm like, these cars are driving by me with no driver. So that's a robot with wheels coming by and passengers in the back. So I never thought I would see the day, but it's here. So think about the deceptive time. So that's when the technology is invented, it's there, but it's deceptively small and insignificant. So the first computer was actually invented in 1954. It weighed 16,000 pounds. Can you imagine? And it could perform about 1,000 calculations a second. And then the internet was actually played with in the 60s, but it didn't really come into its fullness until 1983. I don't even know if some of you were born in 1983. Well, but um, I didn't really start using the internet. I purchased my first computer in 2002 and then my first smartphone in 2008. And by 2010, it's like if I can't find my phone, I feel like, I'm missing an extremity. So I don't know about you, but that's kind of how it goes. It seems like nothing's happening and then it's like, gradually and then suddenly it's here, right? It's here and it's happening. So that is the other thing that's happened. And so think about some things in healthcare that have been there kind of waiting in the wings, but haven't been fully implemented yet. And it could seem like, I feel like one of the things that I noticed is I thought that the sharing of information was going to happen. And still, it's like you go to one doctor and they want to know your history, and you go to another doctor and they want to, it's like, why is that information not just being widely shared? And that has to do with privacy and ethics and all that. But so there are some things holding it back, but these are some things that would make things much easier and better. So, and then things get disrupted. So in 2024, Chat GPT defeated doctors at diagnosing illness. And guess what? Even doctors who were using Chat GPT to help them diagnose, Chat GPT by itself beat them. So this is happening, right? So that the doctor being the expert at diagnosing is it's already not the case. And we haven't really like accepted that fully, but that's already here and it's already happened. And like it or not, that's happened. And then what it used to have a cost becomes free or almost free. So probably pictures are the best example of this, right? So I was with my daughter recently. She's 25 and we were at the Grand Canyon and she wanted me to take all these pictures of her, but she doesn't want to ever look like she's posing. Like she wants to be looking off like into the distance, like she's has, and then it's like, or looking, and I'm like, it's so strange to me because for my like it's like you had your roll of film, you made your hair sure your hair was right and your pose was right, because if that's not a good picture you can't take 20 more and go back. So but there's no cost to it, right? Whether I take one picture of her or 1,000 pictures of her, which sometimes I end up doing, there's no cost. So that's just one example. um Sending a letter, right? You used to have to get an envelope and a piece of paper and a stamp and do all that. Now you just send a text and it's immediate, right? Or send an email. That's basically free. And so it becomes demonetized. And so that's just what happens. So once again, think about some things in healthcare, and healthcare and education are two of the biggest expenses that people have. There are people, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people working jobs they hate so they have health insurance to pay for healthcare. That's a crime against humanity, in my opinion. Like that's slavery, right? So this is exciting that so much of this is going to be demonetized. And then physical things go away. They're dematerialized. And I literally saw that. I've seen that in my work, in my profession. Like my office went away, my fancy work clothes went away, all those books I was been lugging around from house to house to house went away. I realized I was never going to go get that anatomy book and look something up. I was going to Google it. Like that, I just wasn't going to do that, right? And I had boxes of photos and photo albums and all that. I digitized everything. It's gone. And not only that, I have it right here at the touch of it. So this is what happens. Physical things go away. And then this is, I think, I've touched on this already, is that it's democratized. So now what you could only be a Harvard trained doctor to have this information. Now you can be in a third world country. If you have access to the internet, you can look something up and you can have that information. So everybody benefits from that. So there's much more of a democracy around having access to advancements. Okay. So, coming back to your question, now you got your magic wand and my question, right? You are this creative, courageous, compassionate nurse, and you get to decide how how this relates to you and what you want to see change in healthcare. And maybe I'll just pick on Emily a little bit and ask her, because I know she's an example of a nurse who saw some things that were like, this is not, and the modern her school is her solution to that. So maybe I've already answered that for her. But you want to chime in here, Emily, and talk about the problem that you saw and how you went about solving it and how that raised the whole nursing profession.
Yeah, yeah. So absolutely. Yeah, so far this presentation's just really opened up my eyes. So thank you for that. And yeah, it was the problem of us not having enough mental health providers, whether it be nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists. We still don't have enough, and I think it's partially due to the systemic approach of education in those realms is very limiting to the actual healing process with the human capabilities that we have. And so I saw an opportunity to have nurses be trained in such a way that they can kind of fill the gap for this huge epidemic that we don't have enough mental health professionals. And so somatic nurses are trained in the nervous system, and we
Yeah,
know that's a lot of the root cause. And so I also saw a deficit that we don't look at root causes. We've looked at symptomologies,
right.
so it's kind of a twofold situation within regard to kind of this deficit that we need to fill and that we are able to fill as nurses, because not only are we compassionate, creative, and courageous, but we're also we come from a place of a heart-centered place a lot of the time, where
Yeah.
sometimes our um, collaborative people, other humans, maybe therapists or mental health professionals, might not go in a way such as being kind of coming from a caring place. It's more like
Hmm.
we have a job to do and we have boxes to check. So I
Yeah.
think nurses really fill this gap per se of not having enough mental health professionals. Nurses fill that gap, and there's so
Yeah.
many nurses. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so many nurses have left nursing
Yeah.
because they didn't know how they got overwhelmed by the problems,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
burnout. I mean, for nursing burnout, healthcare burnout has been a topic, and I've been to retreats and workshops and all
Right.
of that. But why does that happen? And a lot of times it's because we're doing busy work,
Yeah.
or we're doing work that we know is not really contributing to the healing of the person in front of it, but it's checking some box for some insurance company
Right.
or some pharmaceutical company. Or, once I became a nurse, doing prior authorizations on pharmaceuticals. I swear, if like
Wow.
steam could come out of the top of my head, like every time it was like, hey, my prescription is my prior authorization. Like that is it. Like, don't come ask me for nothing. Anyway, don't get me started. I'll get mad about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so um what I want to share is how I took this. So um my journey was I had chronic pain. It didn't make any sense. I went to all the doctors, all the things. I was married to a doctor. I got in to see the specialist, everything. Nobody could tell me what it was. I kept pursuing it because I'm also very stubborn. And then I made the psychological emotional connection, which no one ever told me in nursing school that had any, the closest we got to was like stress causes ulcers. Like that was the closest anybody got to anything like that, right? And very similar to your story, Emily, I realized I had been a chronic state of emotion of nervous system dysregulation because of trauma. And so I started doing, it's funny. So my role as a nurse practitioner, I was trained in functional medicine, working in this very bougie clinic where if someone wanted to see me, they had to pay $7,000 upfront. for 6 months. That was the only way they were going to see me. That was the only way they could get in. But even that, and there was no insurance, um, I snuck and did a trauma history. I would do it on a piece of paper and I had a secret folder in my drawer because my supervising physician said that has nothing to do with anything. Stop talking to people about it. He like actually got pissed and said, I've been a doctor and he was a bright, brilliant man and I respected him. And he's like, I've been a doctor for all these years and I've never done a trauma history, so it was like it confronted the fact that he'd never done that. And, why was I, a lowly nurse practitioner, able to figure out or, see things differently? So what did I do? I wrote a book, best-selling book on Amazon, and I created a digital course. So I took all of that and put it so I did exactly what I'm saying here. I made it and I brought the cost way down. And now anyone anywhere in the world who has a computer and could do this course. So this is the power that we have now. Like this did not exist, you know, self-publishing 30 years, 40 years ago, that wasn't a thing. Digital courses, like people didn't really do that, right? So Emily's an example, I'm an example. We're nurses just like you. Like we took our pain point, the thing that we struggled with, we found the solution and we found a way to offer it and are still finding a way to offer it because like now with AI getting more and more, like even sharing my book on learning new ways to get that out and share it. So it's not like it ended. It's still happening. It's still changing. It's still evolving. So I want to come back and keep losing my cursor here. You can see it on your screen. There we go. Is take a minute today, right now, or today, or sometime soon, and really allow yourself to go into your pain point. And maybe it's a health problem you've struggled with. Maybe it's a child or a parent that struggled with something that hasn't been able to get the help that they need in the system the way it is. Maybe you're working in a job that you don't like because you have benefits or insurance that whatever it is, take some time and go into that and allow your genius, because there's something in there. There's something that's in there and in the next, especially the next 5 years to 10 years, it's a huge wave that's coming. And you as a nurse. So and also ask yourself, what do you want to be doing? One of the ways that I did this is I did imagine your perfect day from the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to bed, and just imagine your whole day and start to feel into what that likes and create whatever you're creating, make it fit you, right? Because you are the medicine. So the other thing I want to leave you with is you are the medicine. And AI can never be the medicine. You are, right? So you use AI. Don't be used by it. You use it. You partner with it. Don't be afraid of it. If you need help, I would consider myself when I first started all this, not techie. And now I figure I assume I'm actually pretty techie. I can do things that my young daughters can't do with technology, because if you can get through nursing school, you could be a nurse, you can figure this out, right? So get help if you need it. I got help. I got coaches. I got trainers. I got people to help me with all this stuff. So if you want to reach out to me, I have my website's lorasolomon.com. Just let me know what you think of this or ask a question. Emails right there. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And my book is on Amazon. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. I'll go ahead and open up the floor. We do have somebody in here with us as well. So I didn't know if she wanted to get on and ask any questions. She also might just be watching from her car or something. She's busy. But yeah, so in regard to learning of how to kind of put your course out there, what was that process like for you? Because I think that's really important to kind of understand as well, because you can go about it so many different ways.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I would say that I got help. So I can't remember how I found this woman and her name. I would highly recommend her. Her name is Lucy Griffiths. She's in the UK. She's since written a book called Make Money While You Sleep. And she's a single mom with a special needs son, but she's lovely. She's a wonderful human being, has offered me a lot. And I actually, the way what she teaches is pretty much how she does it. She had something on Facebook that I think I bought for, it was right when I first started doing this, and they said, you've got to get comfortable on camera.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'm not, like, and I bought a course from her called Confident on Camera.
nice.
And that's how it started. And then she taught me a lot about that. And I'm still learning. Like, and then I decided to write the book, and I got help with that. So I guess getting help.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you don't know who to ask for help, like if there's somebody who's doing something you admire, like I use Canva. I got help with someone to help me with Canva. I use a platform called Kartra for my membership.
mm,
I have a Kartra coach,
yeah,
so I'm a do-it-yourselfer, but to a certain point, but I have gotten help.
yeah,
So I think it does require some investment
right.
in yourself and getting help and coaching. And yeah, so it's and I got some really good advice from one of my first mentors. He said delegate or die trying,
Wow, yeah.
right? And he's like said things like, unless you're going to make a business of building websites, don't build your own website.
Wow. Yeah,
Pay somebody else to do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's just really good advice. So I would say he also had me okay, it was called two lists. One was called the easy, lucrative, and fun list. So you put down all the things that are easy, lucrative, and fun. Like for me,
Mm,
creating a course is easy, lucrative, and fun. Like
yeah,
I love putting things together.
yeah.
And then the other one was, I can't remember what the other one was, but do you know it?
No, I don't know.
It's like lame. I think it was lame, and it was like aggravating. It was like basically the things that you're good at and the things that you
Yeah,
enjoy, do those, and pay someone to do the stuff you don't want to do.
yeah,
And that will, first of all, you'll actually get things done.
yeah,
Now, whenever I hire someone to help me and I know they're waiting for me to send them copy or something, I get it done.
yeah, yeah.
Right? So it does require, and I think this for not for everybody, but for some people, like really believing in yourself,
Hmm.
and putting yourself first and investing in yourself and having an entrepreneurial mindset.
Hmm.
This is another thing I learned, these little tidbits, is that as an employee, like you get paid by the hour, right?
Hmm.
You work that hour, you're only going to get paid for that hour one time.
Hmm.
If you write a book, create a course, do anything else, you could get paid for that time over and over and over and over and over again, right? Like I wrote my book once. I just got an email yesterday from a woman who read it and was telling me, how much it helped her. It's like 3 years later, people are still benefiting from that. So it's it requires, and I've struggled with this, like, oh, I'm working so hard and I'm not getting paid, right? It's like,
Hmm.
but it does require, like, it's going to pay off in a different way. So it requires a bit of the entrepreneurial mindset is a different than the employee. I'm not showing up for work unless I'm getting paid
Yeah,
mindset. It's a
yeah.
little different. And it's not for everybody.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but it does, and or deal with the feelings of shame or guilt or whatever you fear you that comes up, because there all those things do come up.
Yeah.
Like when I was writing my book, I would wake up in the middle of the night regularly.
Yeah.
I think I told you this, and I would think, oh my God, nobody's going to read this book.
Yeah.
Or equally terrifying, somebody's going to read this book.
Yeah.
And both ideas were terrifying. And it was like I was going between, but I just was like, okay, I'm terrified of those things, and I'm going to keep writing the book.
Yeah.
So I think just surrounding yourself with people who are also putting themselves out there
Yeah,
is,
for sure.
and facing their fears. And so you understand that it's not just you, and they can inspire you, or you can see their, people that are going to celebrate your success too. That's not always the case. Some people get jealous
Yeah. Yeah.
and they don't want you to be successful, and that's unfortunate. But so just, yeah, so surrounding yourself with the right people, and that means the people that you pay
Yeah.
to get help. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I think no, I think those are actually great tips. I was thinking while you were speaking about a gentleman earlier. I was listening to a podcast, and he was basically saying like you you're creating an offer. You're not getting paid by the hour, but you're creating an offer that's going to continue to pay you.
Yeah.
And it's a creative offer because it's not like anybody else has created. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it's a change of mindset into creating offers rather than being paid for the hour.
Mhm.
And yeah, and some of those hours go by and you're not getting paid, but then you reap the rewards, like you said, later on. And
Mhm.
yeah, having books on KDP myself, it's like every month I get royalties. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, this is nice. This is great. Like and it's that creative investment, that asset, personal assets is what I like to call them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and even more like it's just knowing that you've created something and put it into the world.
yeah,
And for me, and I know for you, like part of that was a labor of love,
yeah,
and there was pain. There was blood, sweat, and tears and pain, but to know that that benefits somebody else is so it just feels great,
yeah,
because then
yeah.
it's like then you're suffering. One of my favorite people, Kelly Brogan, says, yeah, that suffering ends where meaning begins,
Mm,
right?
that's
And
beautiful. Yeah.
so if the meaning is this is helping someone else, then the suffering ends for me.
Yeah.
So I think that
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, when you decide that your story means something different, than what you had. Yeah, so it's in a way it's the most selfish thing I can do because it feels great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it
I
feels
love that.
great to do that for, And I got to the point, especially with the book and the course, like I'm creating this for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I am the only person this helps, okay.
Yeah.
I'm worth
Exactly.
I'm worth that much, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's true for all of us. Like whatever um you feel called to create is really for you first,
Hmm.
and other people will probably benefit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so lovely. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here and sharing so much wisdom and just having us rethink AI and, having it to our advantage, rather it than being this huge issue that so many nurses have come across. I know recently I've had so many messages from nursing students like, how do I use AI? How can I? And I'm like, there are so many uses of AI in school, like, and we should really be kind of pushing that into education because it's already here and it's been here for quite some time. And I still haven't
Mhm.
seen it in nursing education in the curriculum. So I think,
Maybe that could be another course in modern nursing.
yes, yes,
You
heck yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like how to make AI work for you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I have a chat GTP course already in there and
Oh, you do? Okay.
yeah, and it's just copy and paste prompts, but it seeds whoever, like if you're an entrepreneur and you want to seed AI to help with your business, you seed it first with different prompts, and then from there you just copy and paste. So I kind of give you like the lay of the land of how to make Chat GTP work for you. But I think making AI work for you is even broader and would be a cooler class to do. So. But awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on